Hey guys, Kim here, Papa's Fix It Shop. The fun never ends, especially in the summer when it's hot in here. So you can see this, I'll bring it a little closer. I'm going to pick this up. This is a grinding wheel that I got from my father-in-law. In fact, this whole frame, it did not have a motor. It had this massive grinding wheel. And a couple of years ago I cobbled it together and put new bearings. But what I've got is some of these real small diamond edged saw blades for working on stone, rock, lapidary kind of stuff. So I'm going to build on this side an arbor to hold these very thin, I mean they're like 30 thousandths of an inch thick, to go on here with a table that I can have water, coolant, and I can work on these little pieces of rock. Curiously, this motor is actually a sprinkler pump I had on a pond, and the pump took a crap and it leaked. So I've machined it all off and put a pulley on it, and I'm using this brushless motor to spin this guy. It works fantastic. So anyway, that's what we're up against now, is making this guy. I got to start by some mounting to put some tool rests on this grinder. So it should be interesting. It should be a lot of fun. Thanks for watching. Alexa, volume 2. Alright. So it's the first time I'm actually doing any videoing on this thing. I made these brackets. This is my father-in-law's old grinding stone that I've been restoring and renovating for several years now. So a little bit of welding. Is using my Millermatic 190. Beautiful little welder. Good. Okay. So I started messing with this thing and then realized it was going to be much more complicated than I thought. You know, I was going to just put a cover on here so I could put a different kind of a saw blade in there. And I started looking at it and I decided to start over. So this guy is this metal frame. Let me zoom it in. So this metal frame right here is actually kind of funny. It looks like it used to be part of a shopping cart or some kind of a cart from like a hand truck, or I don't know. It looks like shopping cart stuff from a store. So turn this thing around. This big stone was my father-in-law's, and when we were cleaning up their estate, it's about 10 inches. We were cleaning up their house after both my mom and dad on my wife's side, my mother and father-in-law, both eventually passed away, and I got this thing, and it was on this arbor. It's hard to tell, but these two pieces in there they look like half-inch flanges for a pipe thread that you would like make table legs or something with, but it has a real nice bolt with a left-handed and a right-handed thread on either side. So I put pillow blocks in here because it had brass bushings, and I got it better. And I got this old pump. This was a sprinkler pump. Used to run a sprinkler and a pond pump, and after the pump took a crap, I just reamed it out, and I'm using this motor. This is a brushless motor, so it's doesn't have a lot of torque at low speeds, so when you spin it up, you got to spin the wheel, and once it gets going, it's fantastic. So anyway, the rest of this process, I made these two flanges on each side so I can mount this guy. It was from an old grinder. But now I'm going to make a tool rest that sticks out here and goes around in front of this, so I can actually lay a tool and have a chance of making a precision grind on a big. Mostly want to use it for the high-speed steel on the lathe to sharpen them, and that's what it's about. So I need this guy. I need some kind of coolant tray. So it should be fun. So hopefully somebody watches it besides me. Well, it just keeps getting more complicated. I made these two pieces. I got a 1-inch by 5-inch hot rolled steel piece of bar stock, you know, like flat, and I just cut like 5/8 inch off the end. Then I wanted to line it up here so I can slide the tool rest in and out, and you can see how crooked this guy is. So I don't really want to get rid of all of Pancho's stuff, man. This is his frame. So to make my guide for the tool rest, I just machine this piece down to the right angle so it'll end up square once it's welded in. Yep. You know, more work on the front end makes it a lot easier on the back end. Tenfold. See you on the flip side. Howdy. Kim here, Papa's Fix-It Shop. Kind of want to talk a little about this thing. This is the frame that my father-in-law, Francisco Costa, had. And I ended up with it after we cleaned his yard. What I'm trying to do is got to make sure, one of these blades, it's a very tiny diamond edge blade. It only has a very thin area of diamond on it. And it's for carving details into stone. And I was going to put it in here. And it looks like it fit right here. I might even have one in here. See, right here. But you know what happens when you're on quarantine and you get brainstorming. This is an old Harbor Freight or Chicago Electric 4.5 inch grinder, 4 1/4, whatever. I took it apart because I'm going to go in here and cut this motor off. I'm going to make an adapter here and hook this guy in here. Can you see that? I don't know. Yeah. Watch this. Let's see. Yeah. So this guy is just a head out of a grinder. My plan is to go in here, somewhere about here, cut it off. And I'm going to make a little housing in there and make a coupler that'll hook to the end of the shaft. So when I'm done, the idea, see, there is almost, I can make a little tool. This guy's over here somewhere, spinning this guy. It's a 2.5 RPM, 2.5 time reduction of RPM. So for every single revolution of this guy, it's 2.5 of this guy. So it reduces the speed. So that's the plan. Right. Throw a nice new blade on the floor. Anyway, am I in frame? Stay tuned, because that's the next thing I'm going to do. More machining stuff, I can imagine. Anybody there? Here you go. 4 screws takes this off. This is designed to run a flap disc, so it can run a little cutter. But down inside there's a little 10mm screw, or nut, pardon me. Stand by while I get the nut off. So, here's the victim. Like I said, there's a 2 to 1 or 2.5 to 1 reduction. So you turn this one right here 2.5 times, it makes 1 full revolution. This guy, watch, here it is, a mark. There's one, yeah. So now I'm going to clean it up and make an adapter to mount this guy up in here. Cool. So I'm working on this guy, trying to get this guy adapted, and had to make a nut. It's kind of tricky because this is a left-handed thread. Notice that? No, that's not a trick. That is left. Lefty tighty. That way when the grinding wheel is turning this way, it'll tend to tighten the nut so it won't get loose while you're running it. So the other side, let's see. This side, that one's a regular nut. This one over here, left-handed. Yup. That's for sure, man. I'm telling you. Bear in mind the bolt's not tight. Most of that runoff is gone when it's tight. Let me do it again. Yeah, I'd have to get a dial indicator on it, but I don't think I'm going to get it much better than that. For the intended purpose, it's fine. Yep, old ammo can made the water bucket, so I got to trim it. More to come. Alexa, volume 2. Okay, folks. Update on this. I've got this annular cutter that I'm going to use as a guide pin. And I'm going to make a bracket that I want to put in here. And I want to lighten it up because this is a big piece of steel in a way. It's a small part. And to do that, I'm going to cut a disc out of each side. So let me zoom in. See this guy. There are 4 holes in this metal plate. And this is the guide pin for the annular cutter. Right here. And it's almost no play. And so this guide pin goes through the annular cutter right there. You can use it without it, but it's better, especially I'm going to be hanging off the edge a little. Interrupted cut. So it should be fun. Anywho, just like that. Okay. So here's the thing. Got an R8 collet holder in here because that's what the spindle is in this particular mill. And I have an R8 collet. And it fits the shank size of 3/4, so it fits perfectly. And this guy can float inside because this is a hollow. This is the nut. So basically you gotta kind of make sure there's no chunks of any dirt on it. Put it in like that. Insert that guy. At least this is the way I do it. Right? Gets up in there nice and tight by using a spanner wrench and a homemade tool that I made for this particular mill. Because it has a couple of flats up here I can hold on to. So that's how I tighten it. That's the annular cutter. It's going to go down in this guy right down here. Let's see. There you go. Ultimately it's going to go in here, and I've cut 2 holes at a time on the sides of this little plate to make it lighter. Tools go back on their pegs. Well, that's pretty lousy. Oh, that's way too fast. It's not too bad. I'd rather. These guys, especially with interrupted cut, are kind of unfriendly. Use it up. Get it kind of wet. And these I peck drill them like I would be drilling a hole. Trying to keep from making huge chips. Quarter-inch piece of metal, piece of steel. You get up a little bit, you can dribble a bunch of sauce down in that groove. They like lots of lubrication. This is basically a rapid tap. It's getting close to the end, you just feather it. One down. Now I'm going to have to go in there and get it out of there, get the piece out, and mess with it. So I'm going to pause it. So, yeah. This is what the piece looks like when you punch it out. One of these cutters is actually really good for making washers out of plate. You can cut a bunch of blanks out and then use it to make washers. So now I'm going to roll it the other side, see how close it is to the other hole. But God's honest truth is I just threw this vise on and put a couple of bolts in it. So I didn't actually even tram it or anything. Let's see. Looks like it's really close though. It's crazy. Kind of annoying. Or amazing actually. Let's see. Yep, there it is. You gotta make sure that it just goes in that hole on its own. It's the best way to make sure it's gonna be a good hole cut. So that pin is riding all the way through the stock as you go in. Sauce for the goose. Where's this guy at? Scott, I don't know, looks like about 20 or 30 thousandths left. Juice. it is. Okay, another note on these little benchtop mills, if you ever have one, or if you have one, you know all about it. They're not very rigid, so you got to be real crafty with them. And it starts with starting out with this tool as close as you can get it to what you're going to cut without touching it, wherever you're comfortable. So it's not sticking out. This thing's all the way up right now. So yeah, that's the trick. The only downside of these annular cutters is a lot of oil, a lot of cutting oil. It's down real close to the end. To keep it really lubed up good and peck at it real tiny bits, a lot of times that slug will fall right out instead of getting stuck in the cutter. And I like it when that happens because I don't have to fight with it. Well, she's in there. Didn't get lucky. So I use a little punch real cautiously. More to rattle it a little bit. Let's find out how close we are to the other side. Like I said, I haven't trimmed anything, either hand punch holes. Okay, it's off. A hair. 15 or about 12 thousandths on the X. Nice. Especially at the beginning, and you got to keep it lubed good and steady pressure to get a nice cut going, and then after that just keep it wet. Here it's squeaking, it's because it's rubbing on the hole. There it is. Oh! Yeah, I haven't deburred it. Let's see. There it is. Can you see it? Oh, nice. Pretty little bracket. So now just deburr it and get all the edges smoothed out and weld it together. Nice. All right, folks, here it is where it's going to end up ultimately. It holds this piece of an old Harbor Freight grinder. Of course, this whole thing's laying on its side. This grinder will be oriented like this when it's hooked to the actual grinder. So, anyway, that's how it goes in there. Pretty cool. Alexa, volume 2. Yikes. Got my glove hot on that one. Had some dirt in it, but it was a galvanized bolt.